everyone, and welcome to episode 3 of Momentum Live. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name's Michael Hardinge, and really excited for today's guest. We've got someone who I've actually known for many, many years now, actually since I was a young kid, but super excited to introduce this guest to you because they're a very talented filmmaker, and right now, especially in Melbourne, where we're not really able to go film much, even though we're still operating here at Momentum, we really wanted to get this guest on because as someone who is a very talented mobile filmmaker, mobile filmmaking is something that is so important right now because it's one of the only ways that the mass population of people are going to actually be able to film content. Unfortunately, right now we're not in the position where we can head out with a crew of 20 people to go film anything in Melbourne, but we all have a phone in our pocket all the time. So it's going to be really interesting to hear from this person. And without further ado, I might actually introduce Adrian Jeffs from 99 Films. Adrian, welcome to Momentum Live.
Hi, Michael. It's great to be here and it's great to be on Momentum Live. Thank you.
Amazing. So I guess, Adrian, can you start off by telling us how you're doing? How's all the family doing as well?
Yeah, look, we're very lucky. We're one of the fortunate families that, myself and my wife are in jobs where we're needed. So we've got income stream. I know there's a lot of people out there struggling. But yeah, my sons are at uni, which they can do online. And we're just very fortunate. But I know there's a lot of people out there struggling. So I can't complain.
For sure. Yeah, well, we really do appreciate your time today. And I thought, just sort of kick us off, could you maybe take us back to the beginning? When did you sort of become interested in storytelling and filmmaking?
As a kid, I've always loved photography. I think I won an award when I was in prep for a photo we did at a zoo trip, and always loved photography. And I think it was 20 odd years ago, I saw Trop Fest for the first time. I thought, wow, I'd love to make a short film, and things, it was always too expensive, and got married, had kids, and kind of forgot about the dream. But 2016, I was taking photos with my phone, and 2016 I found a couple of people. There's one group called SF3, which run a film festival in Sydney. It's all mobile phone, and a gentleman called Jason Van Genderen. And through there, I was able to build a friendship and to realise that the power that I actually had in my pocket that I didn't even realise.
Totally, and I think that's such a good point about filmmaking. It's not the cheapest hobby, unfortunately, especially if you're using cameras and lights and things like that. But especially given the amount of technology we all have available to us today, even the fact that we're able to have a web show on Facebook that's streaming live and YouTube as well, and having guest joiners remotely, that the technology's got to a point now where we're not limited by our creativity, and you can make films just using your phone. So yeah, that's great to know how that first started. And one of the main topics that really impresses me about your work is it's actually really meaningful content. And a number of your films talk around the topic of mental health. And could you maybe tell me why creating content around that topic is really important to you?
Yeah, well, back then I've always struggled with depression, anxiety. I think most people would have a similar feeling, and I needed to express myself and actually talk about it. And by making the film, it allowed me to talk, and it allowed me to, the things that I'd bottled up, it allowed me to release them. And when I made the film, I wanted to make it generic so anyone in the street could look at me, hear my story, and actually go, oh, I'm the same. So it was more about helping people to open up and talk, which is always an important thing. And with COVID at the moment, it's even more important because I think the issues from mental health is going to outweigh even COVID in the coming years. So it's to me, it's just a real important subject that don't allow people to bottle things up and to talk. And that's why hopefully with my film, and I've had emails when they saw the film through YouTube say that was the most important 5 minutes in years. So that really touched, and I felt that I'd made some. It was good for me, but to help others is the most important thing to me.
And that's why we do it, right? I mean, if our work can even reach one person, that makes it all worth it in the end. As therapeutic as it can be to kind of make it for yourself, if it is having that broader impact, then that's just such a rewarding experience, because you put in so much time and effort to filmmaking. So that's great to hear.
Yeah.
And I guess one of the things that really impresses me about you is you pretty much make everything on your mobile and using your iPad as well. What were the reasonings behind wanting to pursue mobile filmmaking over a more traditional setup using like professional cameras and lenses and all that sort of stuff?
Yeah, the funny thing is I do own a professional Nikon DSLR camera, and I actually filmed an intro film for someone for Grand Designs Australia, and I used my traditional camera, and I had a lot of the focusing was hunting, and it was just a really frustrating experience. I know that, and I was kind of at a crossroads of, do I need to buy a $2,000 camera and other bits and pieces, because I wanted to pursue this because I enjoyed it so much. But then, like I said, I met these people and realised that, I've got a full production house in my pocket, and I don't need to outlay any more money than what I already had. So,
for sure. And just to show how powerful that production house in your pocket is, we've got some footage of some of your work here. And yeah, really goes to show that you don't need the best looking camera that might look professional and fancy, but that the fact that you can literally just tell stories using what you already carry with you every single day is so useful. But I guess there is some pros and cons to it. So could you talk me through some of the pros and cons of mobile filmmaking versus a more traditional type of filmmaking?
Yeah, well, as everyone knows, it's a full frame traditional camera. That you don't have the issues that I have with the phone with low light. It's that the bokeh, the depth of field that you get with the traditional cameras, which I love. But as technology is getting better, I've already seen jumping up to the 11 Pro, is that it's getting there, and through some extra lenses, you can achieve a better image. But again, you can still kind of see that a digital look to the mobile phone, but it's getting there. So it's just a matter of years before I think. And I've been in a film festival where it was with traditional cameras. There was big crews. Their films played, and big credit lines. My film came up, a couple of credits shot on iPhone. To hear a 200 crowd cinema go, you could hear their jaws drop. That was fantastic, because that just shows that there is pros and cons, but the story, no one knew, no one cared, because at the end of the day, I don't watch the Avengers and say that was shot on a Red or that was shot on a Arri Alexa. It could be shot on anything, and it's that story's king at the end of the day.
100%. I mean, if the story isn't good, it doesn't matter if it's shot on an $80,000 camera. No one's going to watch it, because it's just not interesting, or it's just not valuable, as pretty as the shot does look. One thing that does really surprise me, though, is you managed to get so much out of the cameras. Like, one of the things that really impresses me, and this is just a shot of some of your equipment here, but you get some beautiful lens flares out of the camera as well. So I'm just curious, how do you get those sort of lens flares?
This amazing little lens from Moondog Labs. I think there's a shop movie by, I think I can't think off the top of my head, but it's the first big iPhone film. But yeah, this little Moondog Labs lens, it's anamorphic. It was, I think, about $175, and that just transformed. Like it gives you that beautiful wide cinematic look, gives you the lens flares. It's just this tiny little thing just changed everything. Like when it comes to image and what it gave me and the feeling, it was just immense. And just from this screwed onto a grip, like a rig that I use
Yep.
to attach the lenses onto. It's just got a look and feel that I personally love.
Yeah, it looks beautiful. So, as much as you can just use your phone, there is more tips and tricks and things you can use. And we'll have a quick chat about some of the gear that you do use shortly. But I'm sort of curious in terms of the why behind mobile filmmaking. Do you think there's too much of a focus on the camera that you have or having the right equipment versus just telling a story that connects with the audience?
Yeah, I think if we get too caught up in the gear and what you need, then the stories don't get told. At the end of the day, you could just... I've seen amazing film shot with just an iPhone 4, the amazing story it told. Friend Jason, he won Tropfest New York with just a Nokia 2-megapixel Nokia. So I think, as like everything, we like big shiny things and we can get caught up in all the gear. A lot of the gear that I've got is just to enhance it slightly, but at the end of the day, I don't need it because they're fun things to have.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely you do not need anything apart from your phone to make a compelling story and to make it look good. Because let's face it, this is a 4K camera. It's more than enough. Most cinemas are 1080p, or YouTube is low quality, so it's more than enough.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that I try to tell people as well. Like, for example, we shoot a lot of news content for all of the TV networks out in the Yarra Valley. And even though we have our big fancy camera and they might be sending out like link trucks for us to be able to take feeds and send contact back live, sometimes we don't have that and we might just be in a position where we need to get the shots really quickly through to them so they can do the story. I don't know how many times I've used my phone versus the $30,000 camera rig that's right next to me because it's quick, it's easy, I can tell the story quicker and better and get it out there for people to know a lot faster as well. So yeah, it really doesn't matter what you're using. Got a couple of questions floating through which we will get to both on Facebook and YouTube, so thanks for those who are tuning in there. Feel free to leave any other questions below, we will get to them and we'll try to get to as many as we can. But Adrian, I'm curious, can you tell us a bit about your process and how you get from an idea to a finished product?
Because I didn't go to film school. It's mainly all by gut feel. But like the first film I made, strangely enough, we went to the beach. I knew the opening shot, the closing shot. I filmed them, and then I wrote out my words and the script afterwards, and then built it from there. But the last one I did actually wrote it all down. The whole write, shoot, edit, repeat type thing. I wrote it down, then filled the visuals. So I don't actually storyboard. It's for me, and I think that's with the mobile film. It's all gut feel and just try and build it from there. So try to keep it simple and again, hopefully people out there can see that there's just simple techniques and ideas can get you on the big screen, or just more importantly, just get your stories heard. Because it's my main goal with this is I want to be the voice for the voiceless, or whether I shoot it or someone else can tell their own story. Because we just get flooded with something media that voice, but there's just so many voices out there. It's exciting to hear those voices.
Totally. And I think your work especially is really shows that the whole voice for the voiceless thing, and you have been recognized for your work for different things. So can you tell us about some of the awards and I guess your proudest achievements that you've had from making these films?
I'll tell you what, that first email I got to say that you've been selected for SF3, I think I was actually working in an office and I jumped up and yelled. It was just a crazy moment. But I've gone on to being so fortunate to win Best Documentary in Switzerland.
Oh, wow.
Through to San Diego. I've won Local Filmmaker of the Year here at the Warburton Film Festival. So to have films that I've created to be shown in like some extreme parts of the world that I've always wanted to visit just is amazing. But so the awards and everything are nice because with it, there's some good prizes that come with it too. So you can, which is fantastic. But the biggest thrill I got was, the film I did about my friend Mark, Life Disrupted. That was the initial film that I wanted to create, and I actually made my first film as kind of the trial and error, but as it had an important message to it. But I've never been to the Opera House, but to sit with Mark, who's struggled to learn to walk and talk again after an horrific disease which nearly took him, to sit there at the Opera House to see our film on the big screen, that's winning.
For sure. Yeah, I couldn't imagine what it would feel like to kind of, that's such a prestigious venue for anyone to have their work shown.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, massive congratulations there. So in terms of, I wonder if you have any tips for people that, I guess, how they can tell the best stories and kind of use what they've already got to, make compelling content that does tell a story.
A lot of it's just trial and error. It's the beauty of this is it's experimenting. It's experimenting with camera angles, and you might be driving along and see something. You can film it and take shots, and you can actually drop a pin where you took that shot, so you can go back with the camera if you needs more time. It's just experimenting, and sometimes you might not have a story, but it's a person you might have come across in life that has got a story. There's not a lot you need apart from this. Just be wary that audio is really important, so you might need to look at different ways you can just boost the audio quality. When I shot my film, I just used this little Rode mic to do my voiceover. The most important thing I can say to people is that your phone lives in your pocket, and when we've got traditional cameras, we have put them in cases and they're protected. So a lot of people make the mistake of shooting something and they go, it looks a bit odd. Having a lens cloth is gold, and the phone rips through a lot of battery. So the lifesaver is just a cheap $13 battery backup.
Yeah,
can really save you if you're out the middle of nowhere. But at the end of the day, it's just experiment and just press that little red button and tell your story, because that's where you start, and don't let anything else, whether it's, I can't do that, you can. It's just experimenting and seeing what you might like as far as visuals, and then trying to recreate it in a way.
For sure. Yeah, I think that's such a good point, because especially at the moment, it's like, most people can't film productions the way they would normally want to, but a lot of people just are probably suffering a lack of inspiration to go and make stuff. So the fact that you all have a tool in your pockets that can just literally make films that could be played at the Sydney Opera House, really goes to show that you're only limited by your creativity in a lot of ways.
Yep.
Just before we take some audience questions, since we were speaking about gear there already, audio is definitely one of those things that I say you don't need gear, but make sure your audio is good. Because it's very similar to it's a little bit counterintuitive what I said earlier about, like, you don't need good cameras, but you definitely want good audio, because if you have trouble hearing someone without captions, it kind of just ruins the viewing experience. But what are some of your other pieces of equipment that you would normally use to kind of just improve on the shots that you can already create?
Yep. Just touching on the audio and what you don't need. Like, I've got my go-to gear is, I love these little Rode Wireless Go, but
those things are
just
awesome.
be wary too that every phone comes with a headset and a mic. Just remember that mic you can actually use as a little lav mic, that if you haven't got expensive gear, you can just plug in your Apple headset or whatever comes with your phone, and that's actually a really good audio capture device. But yeah, some of the, like when I made my original film, I had a thing here called a B script. This is quite good because it allows you to put any phone into it. It just allows you to hang lights off of it, or even like this is my latest rig here. So I've got some pretty good quality lenses, but and if you've got traditional camera and all these lenses, the crazy thing is you can use this thing called like a depth of field adapter, which allows you to mount traditional lenses to it. But again, that kind of gets away from the beauty of filmmaking. But just remember that it is just there to capture an image, and there are all different bits and pieces that you can attach to it just to improve things a little bit. Like there's a company in Melbourne, Stream and Optics, like what you were saying a few weeks ago with Lockie, as far as with your Zoom calls, comes with a cool clip, and you can it just widens your image. So if you're stuck in there's another thing with beauty with mobile filmmaking is you get it sometimes in tight places that you can't get into with traditional cameras, but by putting a little wide angle lens on, just opens up that scope of view, and just adds to it. But there's lots of things out there. It's just how deep your pockets are.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, a lot of people might not quite understand why you would put lenses on a phone as well. My phone here, for example, has got 3 different lenses, and there's a wide, a standard, and a telephoto. But, a lot of the time, if you can use better glass like external lenses, if you're really wanting to push the best quality out of your phone as possible, that's when you start getting some really nice shots that might not have as much fisheye look or distortion as some of the wide angle lenses on your phone, and you can get some of those beautiful cinematic flares and all that sort of stuff as well. So
it's just the end of the day.
Sorry, go on.
It's just I think more the lenses were important a few years ago, when the camera your phone only had one camera, and but nowadays, like you said, with the cameras that are on the phones at the moment, it's probably getting to the point where you don't need any extra lenses. But for sure, I just find that just a little bit crisper image sometimes. Yeah,
I mean that's what it comes down to in the end, I guess. I mean, especially if you're just using phones, the better you can make the image, especially if it's going to be shown on a 40-foot screen. That makes it super useful. So we might take a couple of audience questions. We've got a couple of questions across both Facebook and YouTube. Let's start on YouTube. We've got Mike Emmett joining us, who says, hey, Adrian and Michael, and wants to know, how important has the community of other filmmakers been to you?
That's a great question. The one thing I've found with mobile filmmaking is that some people hold on to knowledge and don't want to share it. The mobile community is just amazing. Sharing, like I wouldn't have got to where I am if it wasn't for the community and how it shares all the information to make good choices, to tell better stories. There's communities like Filmbreaker on Facebook, MINA, a lot of the film festivals have got some great YouTube channels like Mobile Motion. Have just got absolute ton of information and tips and tricks that you couldn't get anywhere else, and that's why I love it. And especially from my point of view, as far as telling the stories that I have, they just I said to them last year that it's the girls at SF3 and Jason, that I probably wouldn't be here if it wasn't for them, and it's just I just love the mobile filmmaking community.
For sure. Oh, that's beautiful. Got a couple of other questions coming through. Someone wanted to know storage on a mobile. Obviously, you'd probably use up a lot of data and memory and stuff, especially if you're using an external app like Filmic Pro that records in a better quality. What's your data management look like for when you're using phones for filming?
Yeah, I always, just to be safe, I've always gone for the 512 gig version of the iPhone. Shooting it, I usually shoot at 2K. It's usually found that plenty. That allows me, when I go into my iPad and use LumaTouch to edit, that I can stretch an image. I don't lose quality. So as far as the data goes, I can actually shoot quite a lot. I think once I shot about, quite a few hours, and it was only like 100 gigabytes. So you just got to be wary, especially if you've got the lower gigabyte phones, that you may need something else to, if that's all you've got, you might need to have something handy that you can offload the data.
Cool.
Again, it just comes down to the quality of which you're shooting at. Like you could lower the quality and shoot a lot more, but
totally. Good stuff. And Matt Smith wants to know, do you use any lighting equipment?
That's I've used things like you just $100 LED light from Aperture. You can get into cool little lights like these. These are good little fill lights that you can just having different areas just to fill in a bit of light on the face.
But are they the Cube Tech? Is that what they're called, those ones?
Yeah, Lume Cube, or this one's the Litra. Yeah, which like it's tiny little light, but pumps out that's the lower setting, which I won't blind your audience with, but they're amazing, powerful little things that you can just slip onto an iPhone, and you've got your light. Yeah. Predominantly, I do like to shoot golden hour, which is that time just before as the sun rises or the sun sets. But some I've had to shoot in some pretty dark galleries where that $90 LED light is paid for itself time and time again.
Yeah, Aperture is one of those companies that just makes such good quality equipment, but also doesn't break the bank. Like I'm using Aperture lights to light myself right now, and we pretty much use them exclusively Momentum just because they are both really affordable, but the quality is fantastic too. So if anyone's looking for some cheap lights, definitely check out Aperture. Yeah, cool. I think that's all we've got from audience questions at the moment. But I guess to sort of wrap up, Adrian's, what's next for you as a filmmaker?
I still want to I'm having fun doing some professional gear for Yarra Valley Arts, shooting some of the artist videos. I love doing that. I'd love to, in the coming years when we're out of lockdown, build a YouTube channel and travel around and tell stories of people that almost like because Mark's film was originally, I was hoping to get it to Australian story. So try and make some sort of YouTube channel that tells community-based stories and has a home for it. I'd love to try and there's a girls' college not far from here. It's Aboriginal Girls' College, and they come from all parts of the country. And I love the opportunity to teach them how to use their phones, to go home and tell those real rich Indigenous stories of where they come from. And maybe they could create their own film festival. And I think it's important for the other girls to see and hear those stories, because it must be pretty full on for them to come from hundreds of thousands of kilometres away to one school. But I just want to continue with the heartfelt storytelling, and just try and get those diverse stories out there.
Amazing. Yeah, that sounds like such a fantastic idea, because there'd be such a broad scope of different stories and situations to tell, even in just that one setting, working with the Indigenous community here. I guess to sort of wrap up, what would your advice to be for people who want to tell stories or make films but just don't know where to start?
The best thing to do is just a friend of mine at Swinburne just says hit the red button, which is on your phone. Just start recording, start experimenting with different angles. Set up your phone so you can get comfortable with yourself on camera. At the moment is a good time to write and to plan stories. Like I said before, if you want to learn more about how to create with your mobile phone, there's some amazing resources out there. Like I said, to the Mobile Motion YouTube channel, Filmbreaker on, what's it up there? Filmbreaker on Facebook. They're probably the best places to start if you want to learn the best ways to use your phone to tell stories. But at the end of the day, you've just got to get out there, press the red button, experiment, and just try and see what works for you, and and get your film shown all around the world.
Totally. And Adrian, if people want to see a bit more of your work, where's the best place they can go to check that out?
If you'd like to check out more, there's my YouTube channel, which is 99 Films, which is NINETEENINE. Just have a look for me on YouTube. You'll see number 99 in the logo, and leave comments, and just be like I'm always love honesty, so be honest, because that's the other thing, is that take advice, take criticism, because that'll make you better. It's
amazing. And we'll put those links in the comments as well, so if anyone wants to jump straight there and subscribe, which I highly encourage you all do, they can do that as well. But yeah, Adrian, such a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us, and looking forward to seeing where the future takes you.
Thank you very much, and
cool.
Get out there and press the red button.
Totally. Cheers, Adrian. Thanks so much.
Yeah,
cool. Well, thank you all so much for joining as well, and thank you for leaving questions and things like that. We're really hoping that you're all enjoying this new series. We're certainly enjoying making it all for you. And next week, we've got Kelsey Adelaide, lead actor in Mast, joining us, and we're going to be talking about what that experience was like for Kelsey, and I guess the result of the film, because it now has over 1 million views on our YouTube channel. But until then, thank you so much for watching. If you have any ideas for things you want to see in the future, let us know in the comments. But until next time, my name's Michael Hardinge. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next week on Momentum.